Hey, Kentucky, this is Mary Jo Perino. Tonight, the chilling effect of the coronavirus across the bluegrass only gets deeper. The debate about continuing the legislative session goes on, and Coach Cal talks about Rick Pitino's new job. All that and more is next on Hey, Kentucky. Welcome into Hey, Kentucky. LEX 18 Sports Director Keith Farmer alongside on this new journey with me and all of us.
I think you're stuck with me now.
Yes, I'm so thrilled.
I would say shoulder to shoulder, but we're not allowed to be right now.
But hey, all right. So the impact of the coronavirus outbreak just continues to deepen across Kentucky. Yesterday, the governor ordered that movie theaters, gyms, hair and nail salons, and community centers should close by 5 p.m. today. There are a few exceptions. Businesses the governor says are critical right now, like retail stores, banks, gas stations, hotels, and industrial manufacturing facilities. Also exempt, pharmacies, medical facilities, post offices, veterinary clinics, and pet stores. But they have to follow guidelines. The executive order comes a day after Beshear signed an executive order to close all in-person traffic at restaurants and bars. Meanwhile, Toyota has announced plans to suspend production at all North American plants, including here in Kentucky, from Saturday through next Tuesday. And Keith, they say that is for, a deep cleaning. Mm-hmm. But if we are to, if we believe, and why wouldn't we, I guess, what the impact of being so close, a week isn't going to do a whole lot.
I always wondered about and worried about those like Toyota because, again, you see them on the lines all the time being so close to each other. And obviously, they're probably wearing gloves and things like that, so that didn't concern me. But it is a concern that there are so many people. I think you mentioned there was somebody that you knew in a place that had a bunch of people in a cafeteria because they're all going to congregate to do that at one time when they're off. So that is concerning and probably a good reason for why Toyota's taking that step.
I know, it's just everything just keeps hurting my heart here. Many folks looking to file for unemployment benefits in Kentucky were met with frustration earlier in the week. As of yesterday morning, the online system was working only intermittently and at a very sluggish pace. That came the day after Governor Beshear issued an executive order to help people file for unemployment faster. To speed up the process, Beshear is waiving that 7-day waiting period to apply and the work search requirements to renew benefits. The unemployment phone line has also been flooded with calls, as you might imagine. Meanwhile, a Lexington restaurant owner has launched a website to help those affected in the business. The owners of Tuk Tuk Sri Lankan Bites has created their website sick-ky.com to provide info on how to apply for unemployment benefits, how small restaurant owners can apply for disaster assistance, and many more helpful tips for navigating this pandemic. Other businesses are holding fundraisers for their staff. And Keith, you know that so many of these people are in such conflict because they can't afford to keep their doors open right now and pay their employees, but they have to feel so bad for them. Yeah, what do you do?
Right. And I think that's a business that's kind of maybe like a little of everybody. When you'd normally be going, at it and trying to win the customer over, and now you're doing all you can to maybe help each other rally together and make something good out of a bad situation. And I think that's what we're seeing out of this right now. Hey, let's help all restaurants because we're going to need each other now. Later on, we can go back to trying to fight for the customer.
Absolutely. And I think that's what you're seeing the good really come out in a lot of ways. In Frankfort, though, the controversy continues on how lawmakers should proceed with the 2020 legislative session. House and Senate leadership sent the governor a letter yesterday urging him to call a special session and allow them to adjourn. Andy Beshear addressed those concerns and appeared to suggest some were taking up controversial bills during an uncertain time. So the governor is telling lawmakers they have two options: pass a budget quickly and go home, or option number 2.
Go ahead and adjourn. And I will call you back into special session when we believe it's safe. But I am only calling people back in special session to discuss a budget and any legislation related to the coronavirus.
Democrats are commending the governor's take, while Republican Senate President Robert Stivers said he's not playing politics and they're working to pass a budget as fast as possible. Keith, they did get some things passed today, not a budget. I don't know how long that's going to take. I understand They are playing politics if there's one side that thinks this and one side that thinks this.
Yes, and if there's one thing that always concerns me, it's when you have something important that you've got to get past and people are trying to sneak things in and trying to do something else, and that stalls it. Stop all that. Let's get a budget done. Let's move Kentucky forward, and then let's all take a break and figure out this coronavirus.
Or sometimes it's just one dude, and that one dude's always Rand Paul. In Washington, the Senate was expected to take up coronavirus aid legislation today. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says the aid package the House passed has considerable shortcomings, but it is necessary and urgent. It includes provisions for free testing, secures paid emergency leave, enhances unemployment insurance, strengthens food security initiatives, and more. McConnell wanted to vote on the bill yesterday, but Kentucky's Rand Paul proposed an amendment that put the brakes on the vote. The Senate was expected to vote on Paul's amendment today, with the timing on a vote for the larger bill being unclear. Keith, his amendment not expected to pass. It had to do with child tax credit, Social Security numbers, and fighting in Afghanistan.
Is it possible that Sergeant at Arms or somebody can hold him outside while they lock the doors and vote?
Or we could get Rene Boucher. Is that his neighbor's name?
Yeah.
Maybe he can help. I don't know.
Just let us vote.
It's the one guy. He's always got to be the one dude. All right, let's turn to sports. As we mentioned last night, the SEC has shut down all regular season, conference and non-conference competitions for the remainder of the 2019-2020 athletic year due to COVID-19. That includes spring football games, pro days, and remaining SEC championship events. Other athletic activities, such as team and individual practices, meetings, and other organized gatherings, whether required or voluntary, remain suspended through at least April 15th. Kentucky's spring game was originally scheduled for the 11th. The SEC commissioner expanded on this latest difficult decision today, saying sports activities beyond April 15th are not in the clear. Greg Sankey said, quote, "That doesn't mean we'll be back to normal or practice activities on April 16th. If you look at the national public messaging about no gatherings above 50 people, it's certainly difficult to conduct any football practice under that limitation. So I'm not going to be overly optimistic about the return to practice." And Keith, I guess that will impact everyone the same way, but individual players not so much. I mean, for Kentucky, Joey Gatewood doesn't get to practice.
Right.
What if he gets the ability to play?
If he got clearance from the NCAA to actually take part in spring practices, which could get moved, maybe they'll move him to the summer if everything checks out and we clear everything and get practices going again. If not, he just doesn't get that jump, and he's ready to go in the fall. If we have football, right?
I know.
Are you starting to worry a little bit?
I am completely freaked out at this point.
We've got to be back to football.
I know. In college hoops, though, this is the first chance we've gotten to talk about Rick Pitino's return to coaching. How did this fly under the radar? The ousted U of L coach, has spent most of his time in Europe since being fired in 2017, in Greece in particular. Over the weekend, he announced that he would take over coaching duties at Iona. Pitino said he took this job wanting it to be his last, and that Iona has the potential to be built into a major power regardless of what people think. Now, the news spurred suggestions that Kentucky add the Gales to their basketball schedule. Coach Cal says he called Pitino to congratulate him on the new gig, but denied that the two talked about scheduling a game.
Neither one of us talked. He didn't talk schedule. I didn't talk schedule. I saw Dickie V go crazy about having us play there, and I would imagine having Iona come to Rupp would be something that would be considered. And I would expect our fans to be positive as they always are. They were even positive when we got beat by Evansville. If we did that, and I'm not saying we will, and going to New York, and our schedule is so whack. We have one of the toughest schedules, and craziness, it's not enough.
I don't remember fans being super pumped after that Evansville deal. But anyways, for his part, Pitino says he wants to play Kentucky in the Jimmy V Classic in Madison Square Garden. Meanwhile, Pitino went on radio and talked about how he has changed since his departure from Louisville and what lessons he's learned.
Looking back on it right now, I deserved to be fired by Louisville. Was I innocent of any wrongdoing? Yes, I was, but I was the leader, and I deserved to be fired. I need to move on, and that's what I probably have learned the most.
Wow. He finally admitted he needed to move on.
Yeah.
It was time.
And finally admitted that he should have been fired
Yeah,
because
yeah.
he was the leader when
Yes.
it was going on.
Yep.
I'm like him. I think he was innocent in a lot of it, but I think he was the leader at the time and had to go.
He's the head
And
guy.
I would like to see them play Iona
Of
in
course.
Madison Square Garden. Maybe not here
Yeah,
yet.
that would be awesome.
Yeah.
All right, up next on Hey Kentucky, we'll take a look at the financial impact of the coronavirus. UK trustee and financial expert Quint Tatro shares his thoughts on the remarkable turn of events we continue to endure. Stay with us.